Good morning, students. So far, we have discussed 2 chapters in science, and now we will move forward to chapter 3, that is skeletal and muscular system. What is the name of the chapter? Skeletal and muscular system. We know that the hard part of our body is called bones, and the soft part is called muscles. Clear? Our body is made up of different types of bones. Then, bones along with the joints. What do you mean by the term joints? Joints here, it refers to the place where 2 or more bones meet. We can call it as joint. Clear? So what are joints? Joints are the place where 2 or more bones meet. So that place is known as joints. So these bones along with the joints together form a structure, and that structure is called skeletal system. Is that clear? Then, what all are the functions of the skeletal system? First one, it protects the internal organs, the delicate internal organs like heart, lungs, spinal cord, then brain, etc. Clear? First one, it protects internal organs. Second one, it produces blood cells. Clear? It produces blood cells. Then the third and important one, it helps in the movement of the body. Clear? What is the third one? It helps in the movement of the body. Clear? Then our skeletal system and muscular system work together to make our body move. Or in other words, we can say that bones and muscles work together to make our body move or to stand upright. Clear? So students, these all are the introductions of this chapter, which is called the skeletal and muscular system. Then, we know that there are many bones in our body. So all these bones together form a framework which gives a distinct or a well-defined shape to the body. That is what is called a skeleton. So what do you mean by skeleton? A skeleton is the internal framework of bones that give a distinct or a well-defined shape to the body. Is called what? Skeleton. Understood? There are 206 bones in an adult human body. Clear? What is the number of bones in an adult human body? There are 206 bones in an adult human body. Then, for a newborn baby, it has 300 bones. These bones requires various nutrients like vitamins, phosphorus, calcium, etc. for their strength and growth. Bones are very hard on the outside, and when it comes to inside, it contains a soft spongy material which is called bone marrow. Clear? So what is a bone marrow? Bone marrow means inside the bones it contains a soft spongy material that is called bone marrow, or a soft spongy material inside the bones is called bone marrow. Clear? Now we will discuss the parts of a skeleton. So what all are the parts of a skeleton? Skull, ribcage, then backbone or spine, limbs, sternum, and the girdles are the parts of a skeleton. Clear? So once again, what are the parts of a skeleton? Skull, ribcage, then sternum, limbs, backbone or spine, and girdles are the parts of a skeleton. Understood? Now, what is a skull, or what do you mean by skull? Skull is a hard bony structure, which means it is made up of bones, or it is made up of hard bones. And this skull protects the brain. Clear? Brain is situated inside the skull and it protects the brain. And this skull consists of 22 bones. Skull consists of 22 bones, which means 8 bones. Out of 22 bones, 8 bones cover our brain. Clear? 8 bones cover our brain. Then, remaining 14 bones. That 14 bones makes our face. Clear? 8 bones cover our brain and remaining the 14 bones that makes up our face. Clear? And in this skull, only the movable part is our lower jaw. Clear? This is the only movable part in a skull. Clear? So this lower jaw helps us to eat, talk, etc. Understood? And the next one is ribcage. Thin, flat and curved bones that forms a protective cage is known as a ribcage. Clear? Thin, flat and curved bones that makes a protective cage, and that cage is called a ribcage. Ribcage protects our internal organs like heart and lungs. Clear? In a human body or in our body, there are 12 pairs of ribs. In our human body, there are 12 pairs of ribs, and each ribs is joined with the backbone at the back. So in our human body, there are 12 pairs of ribs and each ribs is joined with the backbone at the back. In a rib cage, we can see that the lowest 2 pairs of ribs, that is called the floating ribs, they are joined only to the backbone. Clear? 2 pairs of ribs, that is known as floating ribs, they are joined only to the backbone. Except these floating ribs or these 2 pairs of ribs, other ribs are joined to the sternum or the breastbone, which is at the front. Clear? Next is backbone or spine. What is the function of our backbone, which is situated at the back? So our backbone supports our body and protects our spinal cord. Our backbone is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae, which forms a strong column called vertebral column. Understood? So these 33 small bones, which are called vertebrae, they are interlocked or interconnected to each other, which makes our body to bend or to twist or to stand up or to move around, etc. Next is sternum. Sternum or breastbone. Like as we studied in the case of ribs, except the 2 pairs of ribs which are called floating ribs, rest all other ribs are connected to the sternum or the breastbone. So what is a sternum? It's a narrow, long, flat bone which forms the chest. Clear? It's a narrow, long, flat bone which forms our chest. Understood? So dear students, that's all for today. We will continue with the next class. Let's recollect what we studied in this session. So first one we discussed is skeleton. What do you mean by skeleton? Skeleton is the internal framework of bones that give distinct shape to the body. Clear? Skeleton is the internal framework of bones that give a well-defined or a distinct shape to our body. And again, an adult human body or adult human skeleton has 206 bones, while in the case of a newborn baby, it contains 300 bones. Next, the parts of a skeleton. First one is skull. Then, skull is made up of 22 bones. It is a hard bony structure, which means it is made up of bones. Then, 8 bones that are interlocked with each other that covers our brain, and the remaining 14 bones that makes up our face. Next is ribcage. We have 12 pairs of ribs, and except the floating ribs, rest all other ribs are connected to the backbone as well as to the sternum or the breastbone. Clear? Next is backbone or spine. Our backbone is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae, and they forms a strong column called vertebral column. Then our backbone helps us to move, to bend or to twist, etc. Next is sternum. Sternum is a long, narrow, flat bone that makes up or that forms the front of the chest. So dear students, that's all for today. See you in the next class. Till then, bye.